Hi everyone, welcome to the Voice of Houston right here at UHN-TV. I'm Dr. Clara Brent, your host, and Dr. Bobby Mills as your co-host. We are here trying our best to inform you about what's going on in Houston. Do not forget that we come to you through Roku, Android, and your iPhone. All you have to do is go to the search engine there and say Urban Houston Network, and UHN will come up. We love you, and I hope you continue to love us too. Now look, Doc, we are going through another situation that my independent school district went through. I can't understand as large a district as Houston Independent School District is that they are trying to close it down through TEA. I was thinking that TEA was considered as being a monitoring system, not a system that was designed to eliminate districts, but to help them to become stronger, not weaker, or eliminating them by eliminating it. And North Forest was one of those victims of elimination at the time. And now we're looking at Houston Independent School District. What is all this rigmarole mess and fussing and arguing about something that has been in existence for over 100 years? It's kind of, it's heartbreaking and it's sickening to see TEA come in and dismantle the whole program of public education in Houston, Texas. And when I say public education, I'm thinking of state and government funded, along with property owners, homeowners, and whomever that own property, to keep up that district to the point that the children will receive a proper learning education. Now, what is going on right now seems as if we are trying to, in this state, and Texas, whatever Texas does, the other southern states do as well, if you have noticed the pattern. And that pattern is to bring down togetherness, bring down love, bring down understanding and intelligence in regards to the United States of America, because when you have poor education, you have poor representation. What do you think about, Doc, what we could do in stopping this TEA from closing down Houston Independent School District?
Well, Doc, the problem is a holistic problem. It's not TEA alone. It's not that they're coming in and wanting to dismantle HISD.
Well, who is?
HISD is dysfunctional. Wait a minute now.
Go ahead, but you're saying dysfunctional.
Yeah, wait a minute now.
Go ahead.
Now, because when you have so many failing schools, that's not TEA. You can't blame TEA for why the Houston Independent School District has so many failing schools, and many of those failing schools are within the inner city. You can't blame them for that.
Well,
TEA is an oversight entity that helps provide support and resources,
of course,
for school districts across the state.
Then if that is the case, why would they want to? If that's what they are doing, if that's what you're saying they are doing.
No, it's their role. That's their role.
I mean, it should be their role.
As an oversight agency.
It should be their role. The role is that they should be coming in, if they're going to do anything, come in revamping those inner schools in the inner city. You got to do it.
But it's not the role.
It's the changes. See, I taught school.
Yeah, we all have, Dr. Brent, but here's what you got to understand. See, you're saying TEA should come in and blah, 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 but they're an oversight agency. You have a board of trustees that oversees HISD. They hire a superintendent. So HISD has a superintendent, and then the superintendent hires administrative personnel to oversee, and then they hire principals, assistant principals, and teachers, and all of that. So you can't put it on the oversight agency and say, this is what they're doing.
Well, I could not put it on them, because that's what they're doing now. They are deciding.
Look at this, Dr. Brown. Terry Greer, before he left here, he said, now he was the superintendent, he said that the inner city, schools within the 610 loop.
Not on the outside, of course, and everything else.
Well, they were failing schools, Doctor. Look at all you have to do is go look at all of the failing schools.
Why are they failing schools? What makes them be failing schools?
It's a number of factors. The first school is the home. So we know that we have dysfunctional homes, and a lot of children are coming out of dysfunctional homes, so they're not getting the proper instruction in their homes when they're 6 months old, a year old, 2 years old, etc. And then many of them have not had preschool education and so forth. And now the state has tried to rectify that, because now they came up with HB3, where 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds can, the 4-year-olds can have full day instruction in an ISD.
That happens 50 years ago.
No.
I'm just saying. Maybe I've overstated the time.
Yeah, right.
But
this just happened 2-3 years ago.
This has happened
in terms of the law.
In terms of the children having access, the babies having access to learning. Preschool education. That started more than that. No.
HB3 was just passed in 2019.
Yeah, you saying HB3? It's just a rollover from whatever it was beforehand. I'm trying to think of it, what the name of it was, but it's just a rollover, and it's just a big time. It's a big time overlooking
We
this.
have never had state funding. We have never had state funding, Dr. Brand, of early childhood education up until 2019.
And the reason why we didn't have it, if it has not, the state state involvement in early childhood education is fine with what you're saying. That's started again. I'm saying it had been started beforehand through the government. Many times our governor would not accept the money sent from the government to the state of Texas to enhance the education of our students. Now the same thing is happening again. It was a breakdown in the teachers' understanding how to teach. A breakdown in everything. The teachers was leaving, going to different careers, and then they were replacing them with those people that could not find another career that they had gone to school for, a college or university for, and they went into the teaching field without any necessarily understanding how to approach children, how to teach children, and how to accept children in love, and their actions and their ways in love, and not in getting even, getting back at. That's not what teachers should do. Now, my point is that whatever they're passed now, if it's going to be closed down, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because it's the inner city that needs to be done. And now Houston is the largest independent school district in the state of Texas. In the state of Texas, it's the largest. It might be in the state of the United States, can't tell, but it's among the largest of the independent school districts. And my thoughts is that they're doing their best undercoverly to close down inner schools in the district and change it into charter schools. That's what I'm looking at. And that's not good, it's not fair, and it's not right for children to be guided by like cattle. They are humans, and they should be taught and carried the things about inner city, and we know what the inner city is. That's mostly blacks and mostly Latino, and that's inner city. And when you want to close down inner city schools because of their lack of having proper education for their children, then that is wrong. You either put what you're going to do into play and do it. Keep the schools going, not closing down public schools. I don't know whether you see it, Doctor, or not, that this is more than just a law. This is more than just money coming into the state of Texas that already turned down money that the government tried to send during Obama, and that's been over 8 years ago. Been done it.
Well,
been doing that, and it's wrong on the part of our legislators.
No, I see it
to take our children and use them as slaves.
I don't see the impetus just to close down HISD or to close down
if
school
you close down, listen, let me put this.
Dr. Brand.
I know you don't think so.
Well, listen to what I'm saying. The state of Texas, if it were an independent nation state,
and that's what it's trying to be.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about independent nation state in terms of a country. Nation state, not a independent state in terms of a country. If it were a nation, it would be among the top 10. So a lot of international and multinational corporations desire to come to Texas because of the economics. But they need a workforce. You need an educated, trained workforce, and so if you happen
if you change the schools.
Well, if you can't, and if you have, listen to what I'm saying, Dr. Brand. If you have a dysfunctional school district or dysfunctional school districts where young people are not getting a quality education, especially as it relates to public schools. You know, we're talking about public schools. We're not talking about private schools. We're not talking about people who have the ability and the resources to send their child to a private school.
Do you see a hidden agenda?
No. What I'm saying to you is, I see the state of Texas recognizing that they have multinational corporations who desire to come here, who are coming here, and they need an intelligent, educated workforce.
And
we have too many young people who are graduating from some of our high schools or who are dropping out of high schools, who cannot read, who cannot write, and who cannot compute. So the possibility of them hiring people once they get here becomes diminished. So that's what they're dealing with. They're dealing with not just providing a quality education, but they're also dealing with the economics of it. Because we have too many. Now, I'll be honest with you. I worked at TSU. I saw too many young people coming out of HISD as freshmen coming to TSU, and they were ill-equipped to do college work. So that's what the state of Texas is dealing with. They're not dealing with just a racial dimension. Now, I'm sure because we live in a society where people deal with that, we know that that's a part of it.
It started with our Governor Bush. And I don't know whether you can look back at this or not, but if you would just look back, it started with Bush. He became president. He was governor, and then he became president. But during the time of his governing in the government of Texas, his goal and the Republicans' goal at that particular time, and still is, it's just a hidden agenda to me, that the goal is to eliminate public schools because blacks, Latinos, other groups of minority are in the inner city, and and their children were going to private school. Do you understand money handling handling of money, it costs almost $20,000 to go to a private school per semester. Now, if you were to take that, which we already have as a public school system, and the public school system puts so much into the schooling of children, I think it's $4,000 or something like that a semester to do to carry books, blah blah blah, teachers and all that for one child. And you look at all the children that you have and everything that comes in for that financing of that child's education. Can you imagine if you had vouchers, and the vouchers would pay for your private schooling of your child, to help you pay for your private schooling of your child? Think of all the money that you would save if you had private schools, and you would get a voucher from the state to give you a certain amount.
Private school tuition is far more expensive.
But I understand.
If you go, let's take Second Baptist over there with Ed Young.
Are you seeing where I'm going? I'm going to the point to that public schools are going to be eliminated. Period.
No.
Oh yes.
No,
it's going to work. It's going to work. It's working, and it's working now. It will be eliminated. Y'all take my word for it. It's going to be eliminated.
Dr. Black, come on now.
You might not think it's so, but if we're going to have private schools, Catholic, whatever, whomever.
But they will never eliminate public school education.
How you know? How you think that?
Because constitutionally, the founders of the society themselves, they knew how important it was to have an educated population, so they created a public school system.
Sure they did. But
so
now,
we're not going to ever get rid of public schools.
And now if you can eliminate it.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to ever get rid of public schools. What we need to do, what black people, now we can get down to the nitty gritty. What we need to do as black people is not become overly concerned about the motivations or the racist intentions, so to speak, of white people. We need to be concerned about what we need to do for ourselves in terms of strengthening our institutions in our community, starting with our churches and starting with our schools,
which will be
and our families and so forth, and not worry about what the motivation of the intentions of white people are, because you can't do nothing about white people being racist or the attitudes that they have toward black. We can't do nothing about any of that. But what we can do something about is our families and how we help develop our children within our families, so when they go to school, they go ready to learn, not ready to misbehave, cuss the teachers out, raise all kind of hell, and create all kind of dysfunction, and have the devil running in and out of the school with all kind of foolishness and so forth. And we wearing all kind of crazy clothes and whatever. We go to school ready to learn. Now, we can do something about strengthening our families. We can do something about using our churches to strengthen our families. But we can't do nothing about no racist motivations and values and attitudes of no white people. And we shouldn't even try to do anything about that, because God gonna handle that.
I believe that. I believe what you're saying is will come to pass. However, we know that we need to, all of us need to go back as a race of people, go back to the old landmark, understanding that God is in control and that He should be controlling our families and not Satan. And it's kind of hard to get people, our young black people today, to understand.
And when you send an undisciplined child to the school
to help out,
and he's up there raising all kind of whatever, and then you won't go up there and curse the teachers out, curse the principal out, and all that kind of foolishness, and you haven't done your job at home with your child.
Exactly. And the other point is that I understand where you're coming from in that regards, but I do not trust nor take the word of the legislators that are in office right now. I still hold that it is the responsibility, because we pay taxes as well, And since we pay taxes for the school districts to remain solid and sound, but if there is no right for the school districts to have what they need to make, especially inner city schools, to have what they need to make sure that everything works good. I understand that from the legislators through the TEA to whomever, salaries need to be changed. Teachers need to be trained before they go into the classroom. That should be happening, but that was skipped. And that by being skipped, it should be brought back into play. That's what TEA ought to be doing. They should be bringing things back into play that worked and not taken away. And that's where we took away a whole lot of things. People graduating in a doctorate degree, writing a book, and the book is accepted, and then they appart it into the classroom and not even bring in the teacher or teachers to understand what they know and what they feel about how this ought to work and how can it be changed. No employer will do most anything and make decisions without having a group of people that have been doing the same thing over and over again to inform or help to make it better, to make the business better. Nothing has been done to make the school districts better, but to change testing out of the classroom, testing this money going away from the classroom to a testing facility that brings up tests that children don't even want to take, lesson on passing it. And then there are teachers that should not be acceptable in a environment of learning, that a test determines who you are and who you will be and what you will be like. That should not.
Well,
Tests should be determined according to what you have learned. And when you put tricky things into the learning system, it's nothing that you can learn, because you don't know how it is supposed to be successful. How can a person be successful and say that testing determines who you are or what you can do? That's not good. A lot of things that it should be determined on what you learned. And if you didn't learn it, then it should be retaught. That's what testing is for, not for where you ought to be. So do you think
testing should be a part of the educational process?
Not the way it's set up now. Of course not.
So how do you think testing
I think testing,
because you have to have some measurement evaluation.
Well, we had measurement and evaluation when I was growing up. Teacher tests. If whatever the teacher taught, they tested you on it. It was sometime a jump quiz, sometime it was a regular quiz, sometime it was a semester quiz, it was a 6-week quiz. All those quizzes that the teacher taught, they determined whether you were acceptable a learner or you had to be either held back or you had to be tutored into learning better. This system that is set up now in our legislators, with our legislators in office for the learning system of our children is inadequate, very inadequate. And if TEA is to do what you have said they are to do, they have not done it. The issue is that they should set a standard of testing for learning, not a testing for whether you're going to pass or fail. The issue is testing for learning, whether you learned this or you didn't. And if you didn't learn it, and it shouldn't be to the point that it's so hard for the child to determine whether I should subtract, add, divide, or multiply. That should be understood. It should be to the point where a child can read a sentence and determine whether it is a noun, a pronoun, a preposition, an adjective, or whatever. And that's where we've lost that determining how one should learn, what is expected of you, not what you made on a test that is designed for failure. You don't test children for failure. You test them for what they know and where they're going to go. In the meantime, you are guiding and showing and teaching how they should learn and what they are learning. But whatever you say that they have the money for this and the money for that, if they don't have it in a good place of learning position for that baby to learn, then it's not any good. Repetition is the best learner. And there is no good repetition going on in the school district in beginning of school until the end of the 12th grade. No repetition. And repetition is the best way to learn. You just cannot change this to change that to change that to change this to see whether a person is capable of being who they are.
Well, I think that one of the things we have to truly understand that the home is the first school.
I understand that. I believe that.
And we need to talk in relationship to how we improve the quality of family environments, utilizing our churches, etc., and not blame TEA or the governor and so forth for some of the things that we can correct in our own communities. And we're coming close to the time.
What is the old saying that you train up a child?
Yeah.
In the way it should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it.
Right.
That's in Proverbs. But I understand we're going.
So you still remember that the first school is your home.
Yes, sir. We all must remember that. And don't y'all stay away from the church. The church is the best thing, the best learning for every child, every adult, because we learn something new each and every day if we read our Bible. It's good to have you all to be with us. We kind of went over time, but I want you to understand we love you. God loves you too. So stay tuned with us in the near future. Don't forget, take your paper and leave it in your car. Don't throw it out the window. Let's keep Houston clean. Bye-bye.